What's up, everybody? It's your boy C Sam's, and this is That Comic Show. It's Infinity Watch. We are getting very close to the upcoming movie that comes out in April 2018, Marvel's Avengers Infinity War. I cannot wait to see this movie, and Marvel was so grateful to bump it up a few weeks so that we get it in April. Smart thinking. Great job, Marvel. But we're going to get right into it. In '99, a movie came out from the Sony Pictures that was Spider-Man, the very first Spider-Man. It can be argued that this movie kicked off the modern comic book movie genre. It could be argued. But this movie came through with Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire came through and owned this particular character until Spider-Man 3 came and kind of crapped the bed. But we're not thinking about that. Then Sony decided to come out with another trilogy. Well, they only got to 2 movies, which was The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. Now, these 2 movies were, they were okay. I really liked the first one. The second one with Jamie Foxx as Electro, I didn't really like that one. So now, Sony ended up partnering with Marvel to deliver the very first Spider-Man in the MCU.
I'm Peter, by the way.
Now, we actually see Spider-Man before his own movie. We see him in Civil War. Now, in Civil War, we see Tony Stark go to Spider-Man and pretty much ask Spider-Man to be a part of his team. What a great way to join the movie by having this character be in the center of this mini Civil War. He did a great job. He definitely landed the role, and he became the definitive Spider-Man for the MCU. Now, let's get into his movie. The events of Spider-Man Homecoming actually begin in 2012, right after the events of Avengers, when all the Chitauri was scattered all over the planet. There was a big bot, or that big flying thing, was actually crash landed in Grand Central Station. And you see a crew getting ready to dismantle and take it apart. Out of nowhere, some city officials came through, shut them down. This is Michael Keaton's character, the Vulture. Now he is there, he has his team, he's saying, listen, we got a big contract, we need this contract to remove this stuff. And they're told, well, no, because Tony Stark is actually going to remove these things. So the same people who actually caused the issue is going to be the ones to dismiss the issue. And nobody's going to get paid because they're the ones that's doing it. Kind of messed up, kind of shady. You see the motivations right there for this character. They have a bunch of tech that they actually still have that they did not turn over to the city. And now they're going to be looking for ways to still get rich based on the fact they couldn't get rich by removing this stuff. Now, the movie actually begins. We see Spider-Man actually videotaping the footage from Civil War. We see it from his perspective, from the time he's picked up at the airport to the time that he's actually fighting alongside Iron Man and the rest of them. See, we're seeing it from the fanboy's perspective. Now, during this entire time, Peter Parker is walking around, which is Tom Holland. He's walking around with his buddy Ned. And they're pretty much living the life of a regular teenager. He's sitting around in class, not paying attention, checking his watch, waiting for the next adventure he gets to go on with the Avengers. I thought that this was a great approach to this character. Reason being, we often see Spider-Man already in the role of Spider-Man doing his thing, but this is now a child, a kid, essentially, with the Avengers. So of course he's going to play the role of fanboy during this entire sequence. I thought that that was sheer brilliant. Now, during this time, we also see Michael Keaton loading up a lot of his material, and he's raking in some money. He's doing his thing. He's making his business. Now, he has wings and everything like that, and they call him the Vulture. He also has a couple of guys on his team. He has the Tinkerer. He also has the Shocker. Well, the first Shocker. Spoilers alert. He ends up dying, and then the black dude pretty much takes up the mantle. But anyway, we're moving on from that. Now, Spider-Man is very upset because of the fact that there is nothing for him to do. He sees this bank robbery and some bank robbers. He tries to combat them, but they have some sick tech, and the tech is able to do some crazy things. Now, during this time, he's trying to figure out, well, where does this tech come from? Now, during this time, he goes to a party. He ends up leaving the party to follow his leads and everything like that because he wants to uncover something without the help of Tony Stark to show that he is worthy of being in the Avengers. Now, while he's doing that, he also stumbles across the trade in a deal between a guy who Daniel Glover is actually playing, known as the Prowler. Now, as he's there as the Prowler, he's trying to get some tech, and Daniel Glover was a sheer golden nugget in this movie. He says, listen man, I'm just trying to rob people. I'm not trying to send them back in time. That's the type of tech they were trying to sell to them. So Spider-Man comes through and everything like that, and you know, he doesn't know what to do. He's a kid trying to fight crime. It's crazy. But we see all this development within his character. During the same time, you know, Aunt May is there and everything like that. Now, the love interest is not Mary Jane Watson, and it's not Gwen Stacy. Thank you. Finally, we have another love interest for Peter Parker, and that's Liz Tanner. Liz. So Liz is his love interest, and he ends up going to the decathlon, and they are going to Washington because of the fact that he was able to figure out where the Vulture was going for the next heist. Now he goes to Washington. He ends up getting stuck inside one of these containers, and he's inside of this warehouse, and there's a nice little sequence with him working with the suit and figuring out the suit. He bugs the suit and everything like that, but we're going to skip right over to the Washington Monument scene. Now the Washington Monument scene, during this scene we actually see a lot of stuff is happening. The piece that was in Ned's pocket is radioactive, and if there's other radioactivity going around it, it's going to explode, and that's exactly what happens. It explodes, and it is causing some type of malfunction to the elevator, and the Washington Monument got a shockwave as a result. Now during this time, Spider-Man's trying to make his way up there. He finally gets himself in there. He saves everybody. He falls down the shaft and everything like that. You know, he saves the day. Now there's another scene where Spider-Man is now back in New York, and he's trying to figure everything out, but Happy Hogan is not trying to hear him, so he has to do it on his own. So he finds the same Prowler, Daniel Glover's character, in this alleyway, and man, this whole parking lot scene, this alleyway parking lot scene was hilarious. Check it out.
Remember me? Hey, I need information. You're gonna give it to me now.
Alright, chill.
Come on!
What happened to your voice?
What do you mean, what happened to my voice?
I heard you by the bridge. I know what a girl sound like.
I'm not a girl, I'm a boy. I mean, I'm a man.
I don't care what you are, boy, girl.
I'm not a girl, I'm a man. Come on, man, look, who is selling these weapons? I need to know, give me names or else.
The other night you told that dude, if you're gonna shoot somebody, shoot me. It's pretty ballsy. I don't want those weapons in this neighborhood. I got a nephew who live here.
Yes!
Hey! I didn't tell you where. You don't have a location.
Right, of course. Yeah, my bad, silly. Just, yeah. Where is it?
Can I give you some advice? You gotta get better at this part of the job.
Now he's on the Staten Island ferry, and something goes down. He ends up messing up something. He ends up messing up one of these guns, and then all of a sudden there's a big explosion, and it splits the ferry down the middle. Now Spider-Man is trying to wrap his webs around everything and trying to hold everything together, but nothing seems to be working. And then out of nowhere, Iron Man appears. Iron Man comes through, saves the day. Iron Man is pissed off because he told him to lay low and to chill. He called the right people to come and get them, but Spider-Man jumped the gun. And as a result of Spider-Man jumping the gun, he ended up messing everything up. And Spider-Man is no longer with that super spider suit. So he decides to be a regular kid. He goes to Aunt May. He says that he lost his internship. Aunt May cheers him up, prepares him for the dance, the homecoming dance. Now during this time, he has to now meet Liz's dad. And as he goes to meet Liz's dad, he sees who Liz's dad is. Remember, he found out who the Vulture was because he was able to see his face. And now he's seeing Michael Keaton's face, and there you go. And Francine is in this movie. If you ever watched the Jamie Foxx show, which is kind of cool how Jamie Foxx was in the last Amazing Spider-Man movie, and now Francine is in this Spider-Man movie. I don't know. If you didn't watch the show, you wouldn't get this reference. Anyway, let's move on. Now, they're sitting there, and they're in the car. Now, Liz steps out, and Peter is talking to her father. And my man pulls out a gun and puts it right on the seat and say, listen, I know who you are. I know what you're doing. Stay out of my way, because if you don't, I'm going to kill you and everybody that you love. That's a bold statement to say to a child. Now go in there and show my daughter a good time. That's what he said. Scary. Now, he leaves. Spider-Man can't deal with it. He takes up his old Spider-Man hoodie thing. He He puts it on, he tries to go after the Vulture because he knows that the Vulture is going to do something tonight. Now, he gets out there and Shocker is there and he gets into a scuffle with Shocker. He ends up defeating Shocker. But it wasn't 100% yet because of the fact that after that fight, he ended up in a situation where, you know, he was going to lose. And if you go back to the comic, Spider-Man always seems to build up his strength when he's always in a no-win situation. He was able to build up his strength and boost himself out of the situation that he was in, and he was able to get out of there. And there you go. Spider-Man was able to do it. Good job, Spider-Man. Unfortunately, there was no Ben Parker that really gave him the motivation that he always looked at. I think that was a point of the movie that they could have done better. However, I was not missing Ben. I don't know how much times we got to see Ben Parker die. I don't know how much times we have to see Uncle Ben die. I don't understand it. I don't care for it no more. It's done. Let's move on. Now, we're all the way at the Avengers Tower. Now in the Avengers Tower, we're going to get some nice Easter eggs by Happy Hogan. Happy says, get Cap's new shield on the plane, the new magical belt for Thor. So there's a lot of things, there's a lot of tech that's going on to the plane, and I'm guaranteeing and I'm almost positive we're going to see all that stuff in Avengers Infinity War. So they're hopping on this plane and there's a lot of arc reactors on the plane. Now all this stuff is heading out and Vulture comes through to try to break into the plane and everything like that. He gets into the plane, he's about to take over, and Spider-Man is there. Spider-Man gets there, thwarts the entire operation. Him and Vulture fight. Vulture tries to leave with the arc reactors. As he's trying to leave, something is malfunctioning. His suit is malfunctioning. Spider-Man's trying to save him and it explodes. By exploding, it doesn't kill him, but it knocks him out unconscious. And Spider-Man was able to wrap him up, put a nice little sign on it, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And Spider-Man is Spider-Man again. Now, at the end of the movie, we get to a scene where Tony Stark and Peter Parker are talking. He's going to give him back his suit, of course. But he also shows him something that we are only seeing in Avengers Infinity War. He shows him the Iron Spider suit. It's a new design and everything like that. He looks at it, he says, listen, you could be a part of the Avengers. All you have to do is just walk out there and just announce yourself as being Spider-Man and that you're going to be part of the Avengers. And he says, you know what, I appreciate it, but I'd rather be close to the ground, and I'd rather do this because I learned a lesson in all this, that I could be so much more helpful to the city if I'm closer to home. So he denies the offer, he declines the offer, and he walks off. And Tony Stark is standing there, and walking into the door is Pepper Potts, and there is a whole bunch of media outlets outside. If you remember the Civil War, the Marvel Civil War comic book, we see Spider-Man actually revealing himself to the world, and that was during a big press conference with Iron Man. So they were about to replicate that entire scene, but they chose not to. I thought that was a great Easter egg for those who really know their comics. And what we see here is that it looks like Tony is about to propose, because there's a ring. Happy gives Tony the ring, and it looks like he's going to propose to Pepper, which I don't know why, but it's about to happen. So Peter gets back to his room. He sees a bag on his bed. He opens the bag, he sees the suit. He puts the suit on, he's about to put it on his head, and of course, Aunt May is right behind him, and she says, man, and that's it. You know, this Marvel movie was pretty good. This was the first Marvel-Sony collaboration of a movie. And to be quite honest with you, at first I thought this movie was great and over the top, and I was over the moon with this movie. And after watching the movie again, I kind of see where the movie has some flaws. I see where the movie has some setbacks. I'm actually going to blame Sony for that, because Sony does have the controlling interest of this movie. So a lot of the decisions that were made because of Sony. I feel bad for Venom. But anyway, this movie was pretty good. It didn't add anything to the universe. It didn't take away anything from the universe. It pretty much served as a reason as to why Spider-Man has been missing all these years. And now we know why Spider-Man has been missing. He was a child when all this stuff was going down, and now he's a teenager. So this is the character that we're given. This is the Spider-Man that we're going to get. It's much better than a Spider-Man that is in his 30s, a much better Spider-Man that's in their mid-20s that's playing a teenager. We actually have a teenager playing a teenager. Smart thinking, Marvel. Anyway, this movie was pretty good. There was no Infinity Stone. The only person that was involved in this movie was Iron Man, and he wasn't in the movie that much. A lot of people like to kick dirt on this movie. Not kick dirt really, but you know, try to come down on this movie. But this movie really served a purpose to show what it takes for a young man who is in the center of a universe of established superheroes to really make their mark. And because of the fact that Spider-Man is such a bigger known character, and for him to play such a smaller role in the fabric of the MCU, I thought that was pretty well put together. But once again, that's what Marvel does, and Marvel does it very well. So, once again, that's the end of this movie. And I hope you was able to figure out and to see just why Spider-Man Homecoming was justified. Once again, this is Infinity Watch. I hope you enjoy it. Get ready, because we have 2 more movies. Do we have 2 more movies? We have 2 more movies that we have to actually go through. Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther. And we're going to drop those 2, and we're going to be able to get closer and get ready for Avengers Infinity War. I hope you're ready. I'm ready. Let's all get ready. Let's all get there. I wanted to be on that red carpet, but now that they moved it up a month, I don't think it's possible. But you never know. Anything is possible. By the way, like, share, and subscribe. Always follow us. We got a lot of stuff that we have, a lot of stuff that's coming down the pipe. Now, this is your boy C. Sams. This is that Infinity Watch. This is that comic show. Sam's out.
I'm Peter, by the way.
Doctor Strange.
Oh, you're using your made-up names. Then I am Spider-Man.